Hey guys, welcome to a new movie review. Today I'm going to be telling you about this film called Garden State. It's one of Zach Braff's early attempts at directing. He recently directed a film earlier this year called Wish I Was Here. Um, Garden State, you guys, came out around 2004, and in this film, basically Zach Braff plays a fictional actor in this movie, and he comes home after his mother has passed away, and he's been this actor for several years. He hasn't seen a lot of his friends and family in several years because he's out in California, always working on projects for film and TV, and comes back home, reconnects with the friends and family, attends the funeral, hangs out with them, catches up on life, see how everybody's doing, seeing what jobs they have, seeing, if anybody has a chance or is starting up a family of their own and all that good stuff. Zach Braff also has some type of problem with medication, something that he has to take medication for, and I guess his father has been his personal psychiatrist throughout the course of his life, before he left for California and once he got back. And so basically, he tracks down a new psychologist, a new former therapist, and he learns some stuff that this new therapist is recommending to him, and he kind of warns him kind of how the father being the father figure and being the psychiatrist might not be the same thing all at once. He was obviously appreciative of the fact that Zach Braff's father was doing this for him for several years, but he thought it was best to kind of keep someone outside the family as kind of the therapist on things that it might be harder to share with to a family member and things like that. But while back home, he meets up with a girl who's played by Natalie Portman, and he really never knew her before leaving for California, and basically he, forms this friendship with her, which later turns into a relationship. And throughout the course of being back home, he has to figure out, how he can make things work with this girl since he really likes this girl, and kind of how because he's probably going to be gone for a really long time again, how he's going to be able to connect with the friends and basically go back to the life he had before the funeral happened, while also kind of realizing that he needs to stay in touch with these people more so than what he was doing. So it's kind of him figuring everything out throughout the course of this movie. So Garden State, you guys, I know a lot of people love this movie. I know a lot of people love Zach Braff. I myself do love Zach Braff as an actor. But after seeing Garden State, guys, I don't know if I like him as a writer and director. I know Wish I Was Here was not very successful for him recently. I think I just like his talents better as an actor. I really do. I mean, I think he's good about presenting someone else's material, but I'm not quite sure if he's good of presenting his own material in his own way. I don't know if he's quite good enough for that kind of stuff yet. So for my positives and negatives of Garden State, you guys, first and foremost, Natalie Portman's performance in this film really was one of the better portions of the movie. Her character was just so well developed. She had a great personality. She was very outgoing throughout the movie. Really brought a lot of life to the movie for the parts where they were good. She was kind of the polar opposite of Zach Braff's character, and I really like that about her. She really brought a lot of energy to the film that Zach Braff's troubled character obviously didn't quite have throughout the course of the movie. But her performance was truly great. I love Natalie Portman in a ton of stuff like Black Swan and like Star Wars Episode 3 and Brothers with Tobey Maguire. She was in that with him, and she's really a terrific actress. And Garden State definitely further proves just how great of an actress she is, even if the material is not quite up to par to her acting talent. I will admit too, Garden State does have some good ideas. Zach Braff definitely had something cooking in his mind while he was making the film of things that really could have made a really good film if done correctly. Unfortunately, some of these ideas weren't quite done correctly. But regardless, he did have good ideas. They're sprinkled throughout the film. You get a sense of a bigger, better script that could have happened over this one. But regardless, he had good ideas, and I'll keep it as a positive for the movie. Another positive I have about Garden State is there is some occasional deep moments about life. These characters really talk about life and death and kind of how, there's these slumps in life that we just kind of, life is kind of all over the place. It's not always good. It's not always bad. It's not always depressing. It's not always boring. It's kind of a little bit of everything. And that's what kind of makes it so unique is it's not always this and it's not always that and it's not always that. And I liked that idea in the movie, but once again, I think with a better script, that idea could have been stretched even better, making an even better movie. And Zach Braff does have a really good message about staying connected with friends, staying connected with family, kind of how that's very valuable to people. Once again, he did do a very good job with that part of the movie, with kind of, maintaining friendships with people, maintaining closeness with family. And once again, Zach Braff did do that for the movie. For the negatives of this film, going back to my earlier comment about ideas, good ideas used for the movie, one of the bigger negatives I do have about the movie is though the good ideas were good, they weren't quite applied correctly. They really weren't used in a way that you would want them to work. Once again, it's a film where you got the impression of something good, something that was cooking in Zach Braff's mind that could have been very good, but there was just a lot of things about it that weren't quite done correctly. And I think that's what really wears the film down is it's something that could have been great and epic and powerful, but it never quite gets there. Another negative I have about the movie is there really is some uninteresting art house direction used for this movie. Um, there's a lot of shots in this film that really don't need to be there just because I really think Zach Braff just used those as to really make the film artistic and beautiful looking. And there's just a lot of shots in this film he didn't need. I mean, it was just clear proof of he was just kind of playing around with the camera and the whatever technology was given to him for the movie. And I really thought the art house direction of this film was really quite lame, to be honest. So wasn't a huge fan of it. Garden State also does have a very stale sense of humor. Really didn't laugh at all in this movie. There's a few chuckles I had every once in a while, with the lady and her dog that hums Zach Braff's leg in the hospital waiting room and stuff like that. But there really was not a lot of funny moments in this movie. It just, like I said, a few chuckles every once in a while, but that was about it. And overall, there really wasn't much of a wrap up to this film. Uh, it's one of those films where, if you watch the trailer, one of the funnier scenes is given away in it, and one of the last scenes of the film is given away in it. And it just really didn't have a good wrap up for me. It really felt like I was watching a part of something that was bigger, and it just kind of ended where Zach Braff wanted it to end. And it just really didn't quite wrap up the way you would want it to. And overall, I will say I think Garden Script really lacks a weak script. I really think this should have been something Zach Braff maybe could have worked on later on. It felt like something that a director who's made 3 or 4 films by now would probably make instead. Um, I think Zach Braff would have been better off with like a really simpler script, something that didn't have such a overreaching art house direction like this film was trying to do, and it just really wasn't a good script. It really just there's a lot of things I think that could have been rewritten for this film, and I think it would have been much better as a result. So Garden State, you guys, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. I think there's some good ideas for it. I think Natalie Portman's performance really is very good. There really is some interesting moments about life that get interesting, but they kind of stop at a halt and they're really not explored the way you would want them to be explored. And there just wasn't enough to this movie. There really needed to be something more. It needed to have more oomph. It needed to have something about it that would really make it stand out because what I saw here really wasn't too impressive to me. So 6.5 out of 10 for me. It definitely has potential, but the potential was never quite brought to life the way you would want it to. So I can't really completely destroy this film. I really can't give this a praising review at all. So thumbs down for me, 6.5 out of 10. You don't need to see this one.